Greetings, I'm the Bulgarian Troglodyte. Today I'm gonna talk about seasonal film watching and reading, and also how mood affects what I watch and how I read and things like that. And I will probably ramble on many other things as well. So I'm not much of a seasonal film watcher myself, but I often see videos on YouTube where people talk about their Halloween film watching plans or Christmas film watching plans or whatever. And also I know some people like do different things in the spring and summer, winter and fall. So some people watch like specific types of films in the summer and then different types of films in the autumn. But to me, like the time of the year doesn't really affect what I watch and what I want to watch or what I listen to or what I read. But I'm definitely a very mood driven person, and I let my mood dictate what I watch and what I read for the most part, but sometimes I have to have some discipline and say that now it's enough with this mood stuff and now I just need to start watching more serious films if I'm like in a comfort mood, because I think it's not good to constantly be in a kind of comfort zone where you just watch like something that comforts you. Sometimes you need to challenge yourself, but I think it's good to let your mood dictate for the most part, but just sometimes you just need to get your act together if you are in your comfort zone 24/7, I think. Yeah. And often, even when I feel like I'm not in the mood for an art house film, if I kind of force myself to watch an art house film, then I notice that, I'm actually in the mood for this. I just thought that I wasn't in the mood for it. But then those types of experiences can help me to get back into film watching and then get into a huge film watching mood. Back in October, I actually didn't watch any films. I had a huge month-long film slump back then, but then in early November I started watching films and I got really passionate about film again, and that's how it happens to me, that I often have these film slumps and then after the film slump I go 110% to watching films basically. And now I've only watched Japanese films in November and December because I made the goal that I want to hit 500 Japanese films watched in 2024. And I think I'm gonna hit the goal because I'm now at, I think, 474 or something, and it's the 5th of December, and I've been watching Japanese films every day, so I should be able to make that goal pretty easily, but we'll see. But I also am looking forward to watching some non-Japanese films for once, because obviously I don't like to be that type of film watcher who only watches one type of film from one country. I like to watch very diversely from all over the world, so I'm gonna get back to that very soon, but I want to make the goal first. Yeah. But yeah, the seasons don't really affect me that much. It's just my mood, and my mood kind of can go from left to right and from up to down, up and down like all the time. I sometimes say that I kind of feel like with my hobbies I'm kind of bipolar in a way, that sometimes I feel like watching 3 or 4 films a day and sometimes I don't want to watch films at all. So it's kind of really weird how my brain works. But I know that my friend Tony, for example, is a big kind of seasonal film watcher and reader and music listener, that for him, like if it's autumn for example, he has kind of a very specific mood for the autumn, and then if it's summer he wants to again consume art that somehow relates to his summer mood and stuff. But I'm very different in that way, that to me it doesn't really matter. And obviously as I live in Finland we have very distinctive seasons, so there is always a very different mood outside, whether it's autumn, winter, spring or summer, but it doesn't really affect me that much. But I've in the past tried to have some kind of traditions for myself. Like I tried the very common tradition of watching It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas. I did that for a couple of years, but then I think it was the third Christmas I was going to watch it, but then I felt like I wasn't in the mood to watch it, so I didn't force myself to watch it, and I think I haven't watched it since, even though I really love that film, or at least used to love it. I haven't watched it in a while, and the last time I watched it was back when I still loved classic Hollywood, and these days I don't love it as much as I did back then, unfortunately, but that's how our taste change sometimes. And then I've noticed that I kind of randomly sometimes watch a specific film at a specific time of the year without kind of planning it. So for example, one of my absolute favorite films of all time, The Emperors of Cherbourg, I've watched it 4 times in total, and 3 of those times were in February. But again, I didn't necessarily plan to watch it in February any of those times, but for some reason I just watched it in February almost every time. Yeah, so sometimes there are those types of kind of accidental traditions that I don't necessarily plan or think about consciously, but then later on I just realize, oh, I have a kind of habit of watching this, so that at a specific time of the year for some reason or another. And then as a kid I used to kind of have certain traditions, like for example, every time I was sick and got a few days off from school, I always watched the first season of the OC, and that was like a weird tradition, because obviously when you're sick you want to feel comfortable, and the OC makes me comfortable, as it is my favorite show. It was back then my favorite show of all time, and it still is. In that way I haven't changed much. I've always loved those soap operas, and I feel like these days I love them even more than I did as a kid, as they are just perfect comfort food in this dark, moronic world that we live in. Yeah. But I often think about that maybe I should start some traditions for Christmas or for my birthday or whatever. And I'm actually thinking now that from now on, every Christmas Eve I'm gonna watch Eric Romer's A Tale of Winter, because I think it really fits the spirit of Christmas, as it is all about love and human connection and things like that. So I think it really fits what Christmas should be about. Again, I'm an atheist, but I've always loved Christmas, although the last couple of years the Christmases haven't really felt like Christmas to me, but maybe this year will be different. But I'm definitely gonna watch A Tale of Winter at Christmas Eve, and I'm also thinking of watching some other Romer films, or rewatching, because I've watched almost all the major ones already, but I'm gonna rewatch half of this box set in the past year or so I'm gonna rewatch the other 3, which are The Aviator's Wife, A Good Marriage, and then My Girlfriend's Boyfriend. And I think I've mentioned this in some videos, but I've kind of started to think that Eric Romer might actually be my favorite filmmaker, and rewatching these films, if I like them even more than I already do, I might like start considering him my #1 favorite director of all time. Obviously it has been David Lynch for the past few years, and before that it was Stanley Kubrick, and Kubrick has actually gone down my rankings quite a bit. Now he's, I think, 7th or 8th in my ranking, and I think he will probably go outside the top 10 at some point. I'm just not as passionate about his filmmaking as I used to be, although I still love like half of his filmography, so I still love Kubrick a lot, but just not quite as much as I used to. Yeah, but yeah, I just absolutely love Eric Romer. Again, he kind of combines everything that I love. He has that kind of soap opera element, he has philosophical discussions, very intelligent but witty characters, and also I like the kind of naturalistic, simple style that he has. And again, my preferred style of films are the ones where there is not much plot, but it's just characters sitting around, walking around and talking. And again, in Eric Romer films, the dialogue is always a highlight, the conversations are always amazing. They are very down to earth, but at the same time they can be very intellectual, and I absolutely love that, and I could watch Romer films all day. And I also love many directors who are very similar to Romea. Like these days, Hong Sang-soo, for example, is like the South Korean Romea, although he kind of plays a bit more with the narrative than Romea. He has these more experimental narratives, but much of his style is very similar to Romea. And then Ryusuke Hamaguchi from Japan. Absolutely love his stuff, like again Happy Hour and Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy and Drive My Car. Those are all of those three are some of my favorite films of the last 10 years, and I would say Drive My Car is probably my favorite film that came out after Twin Peaks The Return, so after 2017. So I love that style of filmmaking, and I think if I was a filmmaker myself, I would be making that type of films as well. And then I think I mentioned Emperors of Cherbourg already, but I think I might watch it at Christmas as well, as it is a good Christmas movie. It even has that beautiful snowy scene in the gas station, one of my favorite scenes of all time. I did already rewatch it again back in February this year, and I've watched it 4 times in total, but I'm kind of already feeling like watching it again. And like with Romea, he might actually be my favorite director of all time, but I actually feel that Emperors of Cherbourg might be my favorite film of all time, on the other hand. Again, I've said that Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me is my favorite film of all time, but I've started to doubt that, although if Emperors of Cherbourg is my favorite film of all time, then Fire Walk With Me is my second favorite film of all time, and obviously these are just arbitrary rankings. Whether something is first place or third place or fourth place, it doesn't matter that much, but it's fun to rank these films and filmmakers sometimes. And if I look at my filmmakers list, I could even make an argument for Yasuhiro Ozu to be my favorite filmmaker of all time. I've actually been watching lots of his films that I hadn't seen before, again his 30s silent stuff, and I'm almost complete with his filmography now. I think I have like 6 or 7 to watch. I've watched over 30, and I think he has like over 50 filmmaking credits, but I think many of the films were lost, so I think only like 38 or 40 or something like that are available to watch. So I mean that I'm almost complete with the ones that one can watch. Yeah, but it has been a great Ozu journey, and I like his silent stuff, even though I mostly love his stuff from like late spring up to the 50s and the early 60s, but I really appreciate his earlier stuff as well, and I haven't seen any bad films from him. Yeah. And then I'm also thinking at Christmas to rewatch Nobody Knows from Koreeda, from this box set. It's one of my favorite Koreedas, and it's been a few years since I watched it, so I'm really looking forward to watching that one again. It's very relatable for me, and it just has all of his filmmaking elements at their best possible how do you say, well, all of his filmmaking elements just are turned up to the 11 in that film, I would say. Yeah, but yeah, it's such a great film, and I think Ken Koreeda's simple and calming filmmaking is perfect for Christmas, and he's one of my favorite directors, so looking forward to watching that again. And then when it comes to reading, I again don't have lots of habits with reading because I'm a very inconsistent reader. I've never been able to have a very consistent or structured reading habit, which always makes me sad, because I think reading is one of the best things that a person can do. It's fun, but also very beneficial for you, so I wish that I could be one of those people who read a lot every day. Of course, I'm always reading something. I read lots of news and articles and things like that, but then I don't always constantly read books, unfortunately. But I have made a kind of a reading list for myself for the Christmas time, so hopefully I'll be able to read at least some of these. So I'm gonna continue my William Shakespeare journey, and I'm gonna read Winter's Tale. Actually, my friend Tony absolutely loves that one, and I think it's his favorite Shakespeare play, so I'm really looking forward to reading that. Again, I've read Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet, and maybe I'll also, in addition to Winter's Tale, read Hamlet and King Lear, or at least one of them. Yeah, I really loved Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth, so I think I'm gonna love these ones too. And again, reading Winter's Tale and then watching Romaire's Tale of Winter, they fit well together, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the Shakespeare is the one thing that I've kind of 100% sure that yeah, I'm gonna read that one way or another. Yeah, but then I also took a few shorter books from my shelf. These are all ones that I've gotten this year, and I think I will try to read all of these or some of these. So first we have Beauty and Sadness by Yasunari Kawabata, a Nobel Prize winning Japanese author from the 20th century. I've read his book Snow Country like 4.5 years ago. I really liked that. I don't remember everything about it as it has been a few years, but I remember liking it quite a lot. And this is a very short book, just like Snow Country is. And I've heard that there is some criticism of this book, that it has that kind of male gaze look at a lesbian relationship. So, and I've heard that Kawabata is quite a misogynist in many of his novels. So of course, if that is a really big part of this book, it might take something out of the reading process, and maybe it will kind of decrease my enjoyment of the book. But I like his writing style and stuff, so I feel like even if it is quite problematic in some ways, I think I will at the same time be able to enjoy some other elements of it, but we'll see how it goes. But I hope that I will like it. But this is like only like 120 pages, 130 pages, something like that, so this can be read in a day or two. Then this one I also got earlier this year, so this is actually a very contemporary novel, and I don't read any contemporary novels, although I'm kind of trying to fix that. Now I think that yeah, I should kind of widen my scope a bit and not always read classics and stuff, but should read some modern literature as well. But this is Philippe Beson's Lie With Me, a very popular French gay love story, I think. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this. It's translated by Molly Ringwald. Didn't she even have a Criterion Closet video? Yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think I'm gonna like it a lot and maybe relate to it quite a bit. And it's a very short one, and this is a Penguin edition. So this one, I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna like it a lot, but who knows? Who knows? And then this one I showed a couple of months ago in a book haul video. So it's Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, another very short one. So I think I'm gonna start my King Arthur reading journey with this huge classic of English literature, and hopefully I'm gonna like it. And again, this is a Verse translation, so it's not in the Middle English. I was kind of a coward when I decided that I want to read the translation first, and maybe I will read the original sometime in the future. Yeah, and I think maybe just before the end of the year or maybe early January I will do like a SJS Talks Art video where maybe I will talk about what I read and what I watched in the Christmas period. Again, I don't have that many kind of concrete plans, but I know that I want to rewatch some favorites of mine, then again read these books, maybe watch some TV shows as well, and then I'm also gonna read some manga. I'm getting one manga series as a Christmas present for my family, so I'm looking forward to reading that and at least also showing those in the SJS Talks Art video that I'm gonna do. But to sum up the topic of seasonal film watching and mood watching, yeah, the seasons don't affect me that much, but sometimes there might be some kind of event in my life, like something good that happened that might kind of make me like plan a month for certain type of film watching or reading or music listening. So that type of thing sometimes happens, but the literal seasons, like whether it's winter or summer or whatever, doesn't really affect me. And as I'm not much of a horror film fan, I don't really care about Halloween, and I've never really celebrated Halloween. Yeah, I've only celebrated Halloween like once in 2019 with my like university friends in London, and that was quite a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't really care about Halloween in general. And Christmas, I usually watch lots of films at Christmas, but it's not necessarily very specific type of film watching, but maybe it will be this year, and we'll see if I can come up with some nice traditions for myself. And again, Valentine's Day is a day that I, as an idealistic romantic, I love that. So then I often watch something French and romantic often, so yeah. So that's a fun tradition to have, but it's not a very specific tradition. Yeah. And then when it comes to moods, yeah, I let the mood dictate a lot, and my mood changes and shifts very quickly and all over the place, all the time. And sometimes when I'm depressed, I might watch some comfort stuff to make myself feel better. But with music, it's actually fun that when I'm depressed, I always listen to lots of depressing music to make myself even more depressed. So that's pretty interesting. And when I'm depressed, I don't usually read a lot. I need to be in a good headspace to read books. And I guess that's the reason why I often have breaks from reading books, because I'm not very often in a very good headspace. But that's the sad reality of life. Yeah, but that was some rambling about seasonal film watching, seasonal reading, my plans and moods and other things. But anyway, let me know if you are a seasonal film watcher or reader or a music listener, and do you have any plans for the Christmas and holiday period, or are you a Halloween person or a Valentine's Day person or summer blockbuster person or whatever? Let me know. But yeah, there will be more videos later on this month, I think. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't drink Coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita.